we really do have such a short amount of time. We never know when it might be our time. Why not make the most of every day? Why not make the most of every opportunity? Why not strive to be better? Why not? I am who I am, and I'm not going to change.
Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Now today in the studio, I have one of my incredible mentors, Brooke Vulinovich, who's come all the way from Croatia to Perth.
Just for this podcast.
Oh, 100%. Priorities. It's not International Women's Day. It's for the podcast.
It is to film in this podcast studio, best studio in the world.
And she has been to how many podcast studios?
Oh, I have no idea how to answer that question.
So how do you know it's the best? You've been to like more than one, right?
I've been to a lot. Yeah, I've been to a lot. This is the most like filming inside a TV studio.
Ooh.
So that's a pretty, you're pretty up there.
Thank you. Thank you. And first impressions walking in, what were your thoughts?
Oh, beautiful. I think because I feel like I've been part of the journey, first thoughts is like pride to see something that you've seen the vision board and the branding and heard all about and know all the background issues, that it has come out looking so beautiful, so professional. And yeah, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you, but it's a beautiful space. You should be really proud of yourself.
I feel like last time we spoke, if you haven't listened to the previous episode I did with Brooke, it was back in November of 2024. Ooh. And so much has happened since then, like for both of us.
For both of us.
Brooke was the person that held me together behind the scenes when we almost went bankrupt, when I was thinking about burning my whole brand to the ground and doing something else. And I feel like when you have those people who have already done the thing, but then also they're going to tell you the hard truths you need to hear, or they're going to keep you going when you just want to give up. It's so nice to have that kind of support in your life. And I couldn't be more grateful for everything that you've helped me with. But I'm really grateful that this gets to be part of the journey too. Because you live so far away, I never get to see you in person. And to have you here, I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
It's cool, but it's cool for me too, because I work with all my clients online and everything is online. It's so nice to be like, social media is great. The internet is amazing. We literally couldn't work without it. But nothing will replace human connection. Nothing.
You're now the proud Insta mum.
I am the proud Insta mum.
So before we get started in today's episode, I wanted to do a rapid fire round of questions to get people understanding who you are, what you're like, and build that connection early on rather than hearing your whole journey, because we've already heard your journey a million times.
I don't want to say it again.
So fair. So my first question for you is, what is your favourite travel destination you've visited so far? Because I know you've been to a fair few places.
Yeah, we have been to a fair few. Do you know where I love the most in the world? And it's probably going to sound cheesy.
Bali?
WA beaches, like Scarborough, WA, middle of summer. No, I'm going to say easterly wind, because then the water's flat. Magical. Bali, because I love the nomadic, entrepreneurial, I don't know, there's just an energy in the air that makes me want to create. I think I'm the best version of my business self in Bali. I don't know why, but I am. It brings something out of me. And the people are just so lovely and happy. And I don't know, there's just something about the vibe there. But then where we live in Croatia, there's nowhere like that on earth. And it is so magic. You will see. It is so magical there that every day there, we also pinch ourselves and say, we cannot believe this is home. And now I get to live between the three, and that is really cool.
Well, you've built everything to make that happen, which is really cool.
And anyone can. I'm not special. I didn't do anything. I don't have some magical head start. I just worked really hard and got there. I wasn't lucky. I didn't win, I don't know, whatever. I didn't win anything. I just worked hard for a long time and didn't give up every single time that I wanted to, or someone told me no, or things got difficult. I just gung-hoed until the goal became the reality. And it sounds cheesy, but it's true.
I feel like so many people actually need to hear that, because in a world where we see social media people preaching about working 5 hours a week and making millions, they always have this whole part of the journey that they're not showing, of the days that they had to grind, 16-hour days, sacrifices. And we have been sold this instant gratification, quick win mindset in business, which can feel really defeating when you're not getting the results straight away. And everything you've built has not been overnight success. It's been almost 2 decades in the making of acquiring the skills, the relationships, being able to build the business the right way this time around as well. You've had so many different approaches, from workshops to online to one-on-one to now doing your events. I'm so excited to dive deeper into that, by the way. For the second question, I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest pet peeve that you see on Instagram?
Oh, God, how long have you got? Are we talking the business industry specifically?
Give me one business and just one in general.
Okay, one business is really touching on what you just said. This magical world where nobody works but earns millions of dollars. That's my like, I understand the strategy behind trying to sell an outcome, but you've got to give people the full story. And if you don't give people the full story of what it took to get to a point, like I'm in a point of my life, like you said before, after 2 decades of working my butt off, where now, yes, I can work a couple of hours a day. I can take time off when I need to. I've got a lot of flexibility, but it took 2 decades of grind to get there. And I very often remind people of that as well. It is the people that come out of nowhere, have never had a business before, they're real good at sales, and they have this story of, I started my business yesterday, today I'm making 5 figures and I only work an hour a day. Stop it. Stop it. Because it's not fair and it's misleading and it's rude.
I found the faceless accounts was a trend that I just went, who is falling for this stuff? But there were people coming to me who they don't want to show their face on social media, but they're seeing this faceless account making 5K a day. And I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah. And look, there's an exception to every rule. Always, in every area of life. And maybe there are people that for some reason something blew up overnight, or I don't know, they went viral or they got featured on, you know, a Daily Mail article and then their business blew up overnight. And that is, again, it's an exception and it's great for them, but it's not the reality for most of us. So that would be like my biggest ick on social media, for sure. And people putting other women down. Am I allowed to say that too?
Yeah, go for it.
The negativity is awful. Social media is a platform where you are in full control of what you see. And if there are things you don't like to see, you're in full control to not see it. So rather than leave negativity on the posts of others who are just doing their best, just move on. Move on with your day.
Have you found that that's been a bigger thing for you now that you're exposing more of your life on YouTube?
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's a really awful but also realistic part of this world, and it's really sad that you have to say that, and it's really sad that you just have to accept that if you put yourself out there, you're going to get negativity back. It's sad that humans and society has just made that normal, because if I walked out in the street and someone started abusing me, I can report them and there would be consequences. But online, people can just say anything to you and it's like, what? Big deal. Nobody cares. You know, I think things are starting to shift and change, but it's going to be a long time, you know, before anything really can stop people feeling like they are these keyboard warriors that can just say whatever they want online. And I also think as well, you know, a lot of it comes down to unhappy people will never be happy for anybody else. Happy people don't leave negative comments. And I know I'm a happy person and I would never do that. And I know you just have to feel sorry for these people, but it still stings.
Oh, 100%. You know what's crazy is we have Brucey Brahman, which is our pet bull, and he started off with no followers.
He's famous.
He is. My dad got him when he was 8 months old, and so he filmed videos of him growing up. And what happened is during COVID, people built this really strong relationship and lived for seeing his videos because they were in lockdown. And then he got to the point where he was all grown up and Dad said, I don't really see the point in making any more videos. And people were like, no, please keep going. So Dad's kept creating these videos over 8 years consistently. Now, last year, he went from 20,000 followers to now in the last few months, he's reached over 62,000 followers.
It's amazing.
Everyone who has seen Bruce grow up knows that Dad's punched him up with some boxing gloves, friendly. Bruce doesn't retaliate. You know, they're the best of friends. Dad takes him for walks on the beach. He's just been featured on the news over on Sunday night. We've also had a couple news articles. Like over the last 8 years, there's been a lot of PR that's been done and Bruce has been featured. He's been part of the bowling alley. But you know what? Even though he's an animal, now that he's famous, and his videos are getting like millions of views, the people are like, you can't do that with a Brahman bull. You know, he's going to kill you and you shouldn't be doing that. That's not allowed. And Dad's like, it's just bullshit because you know he's friendly, you know. He's just friendly and he's nothing like that. And we actually had a breeder call us up. He spoke to Dad for about an hour and a half. I remember sitting there and he said, I've never seen a relationship like you have with your bull and how friendly he is. Aww. And Dad said that's a reflection of, you know, how you bring someone up and everything. But even then, still with a bull, people feel like they have to say something. And it's just crazy. The more famous that you get, the more people feel like they have the right to comment on your life and control, like whether it's your business or your parenting style. I know that's a huge one for some people, or how you run your business around things. It's just like, I've even had people say things about what I do and I was like not having kids and doing all this stuff. It's like, it's not your fucking business.
The kid thing, it's a really strange societal concept. As a woman, you reach a certain age and suddenly your body, your ovaries, your fertility becomes everybody else's business.
Yeah.
How/when did that become okay?
Yeah.
It's very strange. Very strange and very invasive. The questions, and I remember when I was pregnant, I was talking to my mum about this the other day. We were at a cafe just down the road from here, actually, and I was very heavily pregnant and I ordered eggs or something. There was something to do with eggs. And the lady behind me leaned over my shoulder and said, do you really think you should be ordering that? And I just thought,
I'm trying to hit my macros here.
But I'm sorry, who are you? And do you really think that you should be saying that to a stranger? So it's not just online, but it's, I don't know, maybe we're a different generation and we cop it more, so we're aware of it not always feeling nice. Like we're not just getting it from like our second aunt, you know, which there's always in family going to be the people older than you that, you know, they feel like they can say anything that they want. But it comes from everyone and everywhere now.
As people get older, I find they lose their filter a lot more too.
Absolutely.
They've seen more shit, they're just over it and they have a lot to say. My next question for you is, now that you are a mum and you're in this season of your life, because you had Carlo, how old is Carlo? Is he 5?
Almost 5, yeah.
Almost 5. Okay, so what's your favourite part about being a mum in this season of your life? Because I know the early stages were not easy.
Yeah. There's so many different stages. And also our life isn't that normal. We didn't have a kid in a house in one spot and never went anywhere. We left Perth when Carlo was 1 and have been basically on the road since. What's my favourite part about this season? So many things, to be honest with you. He's out of the season of if he doesn't nap at the right time, he goes crazy. If he doesn't eat at the right time, he goes crazy. So we're out of that, which means there's a lot more flexibility to do just literally anything. He can come anywhere with us. He thinks everything is so exciting. Like
crystals?
The crystals on the beach, which are literally just little pieces of glass that have gone on the beach and, you know, washed up on the beach. He thinks everything is so exciting, and that is something that's so pure and beautiful and why it is so nice to be a mum, because all the big things of the world don't matter because they only see what's right in front of them. And it makes you appreciate the small things because you're seeing it through their eyes and you're wanting to feed that enthusiasm. Well, at least I am wanting to feed that enthusiasm because it's that childhood innocence that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So he's just super fun and he's so good to travel with. I've been saying this a long time, but 18 months is rough. That's the rough point for me. But after that tipping point, every age, I'm like, this is the best age. He's so fun and so cool and so exciting. And he's so funny.
Oh,
he's so funny.
He just comes out with the most random stuff
He
sometimes.
does.
Bless.
And he rolls my husband all the time, which now I've got my like little sidekick, and Carlo's like a real rule follower. And if Dom like doesn't put his washing in the washing basket, Carlo will be like, Daddy, you haven't put your washing in the washing basket, so I get to be less naggy.
No, my favourite part in the YouTube videos. What does Mummy say about mess? Mess equals stress. I'm like, bless.
It's like creating your own little army. It's so fun.
You're a little minion. You're mini me. My fourth question for you is, what's one piece of advice you were given that you wish you took sooner and why?
One piece of advice I was given that I wish I took sooner. Oh, gosh.
You know when someone just gives you some piece of advice or wisdom and then your ego or there's other things going on, you're like, not right now, or
Can I
don't
tell
need
you,
to.
recently, my laptop storage, they clean my Mac app. If your Mac is not performing, please just download the Clean My Mac app because it will fix it out in seconds. I did so many things trying to delete my storage and I wish I just listened to my assistant who told me that. Do you know what, honestly? Can I say this on the podcast?
You can say whatever.
Leaving Australia.
I knew you were going to say that. When I said to Nick, I'm going to ask her this question and I bet you it's going to be around moving to Croatia.
Just not trying to hold on to what I thought our life was going to look like in Australia, which under our circumstances, we were building a house. It all blew out. Our life, I thought, was going to be here in Australia. My business goals were all quite linked to Australia. My family goals were all quite linked to Australia because I'd never been anywhere else. I'd never lived anywhere else. No, I shouldn't say I haven't been anywhere else. I'd travelled on little holidays, but I'd never lived anywhere else, and I never thought I would live anywhere else. You know, I was very boxed into Perth. And we had one foot in the door and one foot not for literally, it's been almost 4 years now. And I wish we'd made the cut sooner, which we couldn't do because of the build and the whole issues with that. We're building a house here and we couldn't leave until the house was finished.
Yeah.
But if that hadn't happened, I wish we'd just left sooner.
So do you think you would have left before you had Carlo and started a family, or you would have had him and then?
No, because before Carlo, I never, like, I'd been to Croatia before. My dad's from there. My husband's family's from there.
So is Dom half Croatian, half Kiwi? Or how does that all work?
Okay, so
I need to know this.
Yeah, I know.
I've been like curious the whole time.
Okay, my mum's from Australia, from Mount Isa. My dad was born in Buzet in Croatia.
Okay.
Dom's dida, so grandfather, was born in Podgora, which is where we live in Croatia, but his dad was actually born in New Zealand. His mum's born in New Zealand.
So he's more Croatian than you?
Less.
Oh, less.
Technically. Because his dad wasn't born in Croatia. Like, if you want to get
But are they actually Croatian?
biologically
You know
scientific.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's so, well, that works out perfect.
It worked
Carlo,
out very
you and Dom
well.
all have Australian passports.
Not Dom, because he's Kiwi.
Oh.
Yeah, so Carlo and I are Australian
Yep.
and Croatian. Dom is Kiwi and Croatian.
Okay.
That's how, and our dad's villages are like 4 hours away from each other in Croatia. But I met Dom in Perth. Carlo was born in Perth. We had look, my business wasn't at a place where I thought realistically I could live anywhere else. I used to travel to Croatia on holiday, actually, when I had social club, and I didn't tell anyone because I was so scared that people would cancel their subscriptions if I wasn't in Perth, because the very first year that I traveled to Croatia and I was gone, I don't remember how long for, not that long, maybe a couple of weeks. I had a huge spike in membership cancellations, and it really scared me that there was some sort of, I don't know, people just didn't like the idea that I wasn't here. So then every other time we went, I just didn't tell anyone.
Wow.
And I never thought I would be able to run the business from anywhere but Perth, which is ridiculous because it's an online business that can be run from anywhere. But I don't know, was that in my head? Did I like make it up and then convince myself otherwise? I just never thought I would live anywhere other than Perth. And then my personal circumstances are what ended up, pushing us out of Perth, because we were building the house here and went to live there while we were waiting for the house to be finished here. I don't know if people, because it wasn't business related, they were more receptive to that. I don't know. What do you think? You were in the community. Did I create that in my head?
I definitely think there's part of it that you did, because you've built this whole business and people, they weren't coming to you in person other than your social club events, but you're sending out emails.
I know.
And why do you have to be in Perth to send an email? You could be anywhere.
I could be anywhere. And that's the whole benefit of having a business that operates online. But there was definitely the first time I went, it was enough of a dip in the business to scare me into thinking, I can't do this again.
I did something different. I saw all these coaches and they're like, oh, when I travel, I make the most money. And I went and lived as a digital nomad and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is not what
this is really hard.
It would be. But then crazily enough, I built my business to a stage where I can travel.
Yeah.
And I don't even have clients go, oh, she's gone on a holiday again. They're like, oh, you deserve it. Like, enjoy yourself. And I was like, that is the stage that you want to be at through building the right brand, through what you're communicating, how you live your life, what are your values, plus always having clients that understand that. I feel like if you have really needy clients, those are the ones that make your life feel like, oh, I'm not allowed to leave. It's like a toxic relationship. You're like, why do you control where I have to be?
I think society has changed as well, and it's got a lot to do with COVID and people being forced to work online when they had never previously done even like a Zoom call.
Yes.
So that definitely helped change consumers as a whole in terms of how they receive information or do meetings or where they can work. I think that helped shift people to be okay with it. But before that, there was definitely a lot of hesitation. I remember a lot of my consulting was all in person, and the idea I would do it online, there was no way my clients would have done that.
And the amount of time it takes to do in-person consulting, you got to drive there, you got to set up for the meeting, you deliver it. You could literally have 5 more clients based on the time it takes you to do one through online.
And then if people are late or, things happen, traffic, blah, 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 there's so many external factors that just push it out. As strong as you want your boundaries to be, it does push it out.
100%.
Online, best.
And you get recordings and you get AI summary notes, like so much that you would kind of go over in that meeting you'd forget about, at least you've got it there.
Yeah.
Question 5, which artist could you listen to on repeat every single day?
I'm really liking Olivia Dean at the moment. She's like very my vibe. Who else do you know what? I'm actually really enjoying like a lot of old classics. Then I've also got I could listen to Biggie on repeat all day. I like my classics.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that. Now, jazz. I love jazz.
Really?
I could listen to jazz all day.
Do you go to jazz clubs back in the day?
No.
You just
I went to Amber back in the day, actually. I don't know. I just like it now. I don't know. It helps me think.
Yeah.
I like having it in the background when I'm working. Carlo's always like, oh, Mum, morning jazz. I like morning jazz. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a hotel. Yes. And I like being in that, vibe and energy. It helps me work.
Well, there's scientific studies that actually talk about jazz music and helping you build more creativity.
Yeah, I think it works.
Different brainwaves and things. I listen to no lyrics but deep house. That's kind of my...
That's yours.
Yeah, or if I'm driving somewhere, I'm like, I've got drum and bass on. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a video game. And I'm like, I've got to get there fast.
Yeah, I could do some drum and bass, but not if I'm trying to work or focus.
Oh, yeah, no. When you're cleaning, you need something to motivate you, hype you up.
I always listen to my workout playlist when I'm cleaning. Yeah, for sure.
Need it. What's one lesson you've had to relearn a few times over?
God, narrow it down to one. Do you know what? just showing up consistently on social media.
Yes.
Which is what I teach and what I do. But we all get into our own heads. And I think a lot of the time as well, especially for me living where I do now, I'm so far removed from the world of business that I'm operating in. Like I'm in a tiny little village. No one really has online businesses. And so it can be quite easy for me to get in my head about everybody else that I'm seeing online and the highlight reel of what they're doing and comparisonitis. I think.
Do you know what's crazy? I'm hearing you say this and I'm thinking about all the people that are watching your life going, wow, she left Australia. Look at this dream. All her vlogging adventures at the beach looks amazing. Like, comparison is going to always be the thief of joy.
It'll always be there. I think when you care, which I always say my business was my first baby because it is the only thing that I ever felt good at. Really? I was not a super academic. I was not super good at sport. I never felt super good at anything that I'd ever done. And then I started my business and suddenly I was good at something and not just good, like pretty great at something. And I want to remain forever great. And I think a part of remaining forever great is like never thinking you're the best and always wanting to learn and wanting to grow and seeing what others are doing. But that's where living where we do is hard because when you live in the city, you get the social media version of everyone's life and then you get the real version of everyone's life. Living in the village when you're only getting the social media version of everyone's life, it can get in your head a little bit. And that can be hard.
For sure. Out of all the things you've achieved in your career, which one has been the most meaningful and why?
L'Oreal. So I did 7 city to country tours with L'Oreal. The first was meaningful because I couldn't believe that a brand so big wanted to work with me. And the second, because they liked working with me so much, they had me back. And that felt like, wow, even though I'm in my tiny little village, because that didn't actually start till after I moved to Croatia, but that gave me the confidence that, because I like I touched on before, sometimes I get in my head that maybe living over here will tank the brand. Someone said to me before I left Perth, no one will want to work with you if you leave Australia. Brands won't want to work with you if you leave Australia. And it was some advice, not advice, but it got in my head a little bit, given how I felt about when I went to Croatia with Social Club. And it scared me a little because I'd worked so hard to build it up to a point where I could, but I think because that was one of my own self-doubts, it did play on my mind. And so when I got the L'Oreal contract, it felt like validation from the world that, no, you're good.
Yes.
You're good. Yeah.
100%. And also, if they really value your expertise and knowledge, they'll pay you to go wherever. It doesn't matter.
They don't care.
They've got the budget. I was with Ez the other day and we were scripting out some questions to plan to do an episode together and you came up in conversation and he said he was going to do a reel with you about L'Oreal. And I told him, I was like, L'Oreal is like the biggest beauty brand in the world. He's like, what? He said, no, they're just at Woolworths. I said, no, they own 36 companies like Yves Saint Laurent, all these other things. And he was just blown away. I said, that's who booked Brooke.
Yeah, they are huge. And I tell you, I think I got as much out of working with them as they did out of working with me because I went to all the different HQs and I asked all the questions. I got to meet the GM of L'Oreal Australia and New Zealand when I was in the Melbourne HQ. His name's Carlos. And that felt like I'm meeting Mecca. Like he's a big deal. He's like the Miranda Priestley of the beauty world, and everyone in L'Oreal like worships the ground that he walks on, and rightfully so. And so the fact that he came and talked to me and we had a conversation I was like fangirling on the inside. It was really, really cool. And just the company, like to obviously have so much success, that company runs like
and to also be paid for it. Like the amount of times that you see these big brands host events and they're like, I can't pay you, or we'll just pay you an exposure, or we'll only do your flights. Like, I think that's also a massive milestone to know that you've built the skills, you've built the network and the brand to be able to actually travel, get paid for it, do what you love. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. And they're just really fun. Like, I had the best time of my life twice doing that. And it was pretty intense. Like, we were doing, I think we did the first year, because of my visa issues, I could only be out of the EU for so long. So we had to pack the events in. I think we did like 21 flights or 14 flights in like 21 days or something. Like, it was full on back to back to back to back every day, 6-hour workshop, like 10-hour days, recording, you know, mic checks, all kinds of things. And I don't think I've ever felt so good in my life. Like, that was my, like, every shit, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Every, shit thing that has happened along the way got me here. And I was also the first year I was really worried about getting sick, because, like, that's pretty intense, right? For anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And all the flying, and, like, if I lose my voice, and, you know, we were sleeping a couple of hours a night. It's like being on tour. And I was like peak Brooke Vulinovich. Like, and then I did it again. And I'm a mother at this point too.
My next question following on from that is, who is your dream collaboration? Because you've obviously worked with L'Oreal. Like, is there someone else that you have on your radar that you would love to work with?
Oh, all right. I've done a lot of beauty and I've done a lot of cars. I'd love to do like Rolex
watches.
Yeah, I'd love to get into that world, purely because of, as well, I am a very firm believer that business is who you know. I think every opportunity to speak to someone about your business is a chance to grow your brand. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there are things and partnerships that I've done and things that have come up from people that I met 10, 15, 20 years ago, and your network really is your net worth. So not just working with Rolex, the brand, but the world that would open me up to in terms of then who they know and their connections. And also, like, once you're in, the circles are smaller.
Being in those circles is insane.
Yeah.
Have you been to any of these watch events?
No.
Need to
I
take
have
you
not.
with me?
Take me with you. No, I have not.
You go in there and it's like, we got invited to the Patek event and there's only 15 people in Perth from there and partners and things like that. And you've got a racing car driver, you've got the news presenter, and you've got millions of dollars worth of watches. And you just look at this and you go, it's always the same 10 people. Perth is small. You walk into that network, you get one person, you come here, and you start to realize that the statistics are the top 20% of wealth, like wealthy people in Australia, they have 60% of the wealth in the whole of Australia. It's just like, once you tap into that network,
once you're in, you're
easier.
in. But Europe's the same.
Yeah.
And once you leave Australia, you also realize the circles get smaller. And I'm very aware of that. Like, even though I've been doing this now for 2 decades or a decade, I've been working for 2 decades. But like I said, I feel like every connection from when you start working feeds into your business. Like, I'm so little. I'm just getting started in...
You need to go to the F1.
Oh,
and you need to just like, hi, and then...
circle the room. I'm just getting started in what I would love to do with my brand and my life. And I think I also am a firm believer in, you know, putting yourself in the rooms with people who are thinking bigger. It does get you thinking outside of what got you to this point. And that is a business strategy within itself. Just be in the right rooms.
100%.
You know? But these are no longer rooms I can buy a ticket to.
It's not different. Well, I mean, that's kind of the hard part about what you're doing, is that you are isolated.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I can go to Porsche on a Saturday morning and you can go network. And I think that's where you got to become creative with your business strategy. Like, what rooms are you strategically, where are you placing yourself at the right time?
Yeah.
Someone said to me, oh, how do you find people making over $1 million and all this? I said, go to a car meet. go to a golf club.
Yeah.
You will find them.
It's actually easy if you live in a city.
Yeah.
But also with everything in life comes sacrifice. And with our choice to move to where we live, the sacrifice is I'm proximity-wise a long way away from those rooms. And that's a sacrifice that comes with living on the Adriatic Sea Croatian coastline, which is a pretty cool thing in itself. So 6, 7.
But also, you literally have done part of that as well, like just in another industry. Yeah. So it's not like you haven't done it.
Yeah.
You just got more to try.
Got more to try.
If you could go back to 20-year-old Brooke, what would you say?
Oh, stop partying, move out of home. I don't know. It's funny. I often think about this, but I had to do what I did at the time to get me to where I am. I was the same person at my core, but like I said earlier, because I'd never been good at anything, I didn't believe in myself. I was in a pretty rough relationship in my early 20s as well, which really squashed my confidence, which was already pretty low. And I felt like I will never be anything. I dropped out of uni, I dropped out of TAFE, and I just felt like a bit of a loser, really, to be honest with you. I didn't think I'd ever get a good job. I didn't feel worthy, I suppose, of a good relationship. I just didn't see a lot for my life. And that sounds really sad to say, but I didn't. And I can look back now and see all the reasons that I felt like that. I would have told myself to start working out earlier, so that gave me a bit of confidence probably. I was also in the modelling world, so I was getting picked apart.
It is so hard.
I was getting picked apart every day. Like, that was my life. And not that I regret it, because it gave me a lot of confidence on camera, which has been, a fundamental part of probably my business growth. But as a person, I just didn't think I was anything special. I don't think I'm anything special now, but I think I've done a lot of special things with my life.
I think that's valuable. Like, you've almost got to go through all the things that you don't want to get super clear on what you do want. And when people kind of coast and they don't have really, I don't want to say traumatic, but just like big life awakening. You're like, you know what? I don't want this. Like that pivotal moment. It
is the trauma though, which is really,
it drives entrepreneurs to do things.
It does. Like, a few years ago, my sister got really sick and passed away. And when we were in hospital together, her husband was Italian, and she used to talk about moving to Italy, and she'd talk about when she got out, which is always what we said, when she got out, they were going to move to Italy. And I think subconsciously that played on my mind a lot, and all the obvious things that happened in our life which impacted our move. I think a lot of that conversation made me feel like, let's not wait until we're 50. Let's go do it now. If it doesn't work out, we come back to Perth. We know how to do Perth. But I don't know if I would have also made such a big move without that trauma, which 100% is trauma, having happened so close to me in my life too.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't know what you don't know, but there are conversations along the way that had really big impact on my mindset. And I've always wanted more. I've never been satisfied with what I had. I don't know why. I don't know where it comes from. I can't really answer what drives me. But as soon as I get what I want, I'm like, what are we doing next?
Do you think part of it is when you've got that toxic relationship, when you've been through modelling, your self-worth is almost so low because you're always comparing, or you're feeling like you're never enough, and you're trying to meet someone else's standards of what they want from you, but you don't actually get clear on what you want. It almost gets to the point where business and achievements and awards and speaking on stages, that's what gives you your self-worth.
Absolutely. It's addictive because, again, it makes you feel good at something when you've never had that for anything else. And I think as human beings, we all want to feel like we've achieved greatness in whatever we're doing, whether that's, your relationships, your friendships, your career as a mother. You want to be the best that you can be. That's just normal. But for some people, I also think they get to like a happy cap And that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have that happy cap.
Yeah.
I'm happy, but I'm always thinking bigger. And what could we do next? And I don't know where that comes from. I've never really been able to answer that question.
Maybe it's just being around that energy of wanting the most out of life.
Yeah. I want to maximize every day. That's why I'm like crazy about routine. I'm a time blocker. I can chill at the right times, but we really do have such a short amount of time. We never know when it might be our time. And why not make the most of every day? Why not make the most of every opportunity? Why not strive for not more materialistically, but strive to be better? Why not? And then when you become a mother, why not for your kids? Why not allow them to see that they can do anything that they want to do? And the only way to get them to see and believe that is watching you do it. So I am who I am, and I'm not going to change.
I love it though. I think one of the hardest things that I've found is when you're surrounding yourself with people who don't share that larger than life vision, you always feel like you're either too much or you feel like you're kind of holding back because you don't want to overwhelm other people. But then you talk to other people and they're like, no, go do the thing. Like, that's fine. Or you can do bigger. And that's where in business, you'll outgrow relationships, you'll outgrow friendships. You might be friends in a networking group and then all of a sudden, if you start taking off, then they're kind of seeing the point that you both started at the same point. And now, why is this person? And it just, you do outgrow a lot of people and things, and that's what gets lonely, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, we need it to be like that. If everyone was like us, we wouldn't be able to have these opportunities and do these things that we have done. So that's life, and that's the world that we live in. It's part of the journey. Yeah.
My last question for you out of these is, what business do you know needs to be built but you can't be bothered doing?
In Croatia specifically, oh my God, can I give you like 10?
Go.
Pilates studio, reformer studio, eyebrow studio. What else? Spray tanning. Any food that's not Croatian, like Mexican fire truck. Give me a Japanese. Like, there is so much potential in Croatia. It's not that I can, maybe I can't be bothered. I don't know. Dom and I think all the time, like, oh my God, this would go off here. I also think Croatia is so known for Sal Croatia. Come, drink, party, sail around. The world is changing. The next generation don't party as much as we did. They care about health. They care about their bodies. They care about fitness, which is awesome. And I think there's a lot of businesses in Croatia specifically that need to come to a point of realizing that and pivot, because there is a lot of opportunity if you pivot at the right time. And that's where Dom and I will get on a bit of a, we should open Pilates studio, we should do this, we should do that. And maybe if I don't know, maybe we will. We'll see. But then I also want to protect my peace, because I've worked so hard. Like I said before, I've worked so hard to get to a point where I only have to work a few hours a day. And then I'm like, whoa, Brooke, like rein it back in, because you're just going to get to the point that you used to be. But I think it's almost like, business growth is like this, right? And the life that you create, if you do want to then get to that next level, you got to go back and work hard again. You got to go back and hustle again. And then you'll be able to create that next level where you don't have to hustle so much. Am I prepared to do that now? I'm not sure. I need to build a house first.
Oh, yeah, just focus on that. My God.
And that's what it is. I'm like, don't go too hard till you've sorted that part.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like about to turn 40 in 2 months and I'm still homeless. My whole thing is I'm 40 and homeless. We'll get there.
Hey, at least you got a business. You're living in another country.
I'm okay with it.
You got it.
But
that's
good.
also the life that you
have built.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad, and we chose that. Our house in Australia, after 5 years of drama, finally got finished. We came back. We were in the burbs. It was in North Beach. It's a beautiful home. I don't want to discount that. But we stood in that house and we looked around and we both said, like, is this it? Like, is this life now? And that wasn't good enough for us anymore. So we sold it and we moved back to Croatia, and now we're starting again kind of from the beginning. Like, I've spent the last 12 months like reinventing myself. But I guess that ties into what I was saying before. it just feels like there's so much more I could do.
Absolutely. You know, what's interesting is when I was putting all these questions together, I wanted to ask you about the seasons of your life and what did 20 to 30 look like and what did 30 to 40 look like, because there was such a big change.
40,
from...
that sounds so old. I'm not associating with that number just yet.
But it's almost like seeing young, hustling Brooke, you know, Dom's working FIFO, you're doing all the things. You're probably in the phase back then that I'm in now. And then to see where you're at now, more prioritizing time for the family, having better boundaries in place.
Yeah.
What was normal back then that you 100% wouldn't tolerate or allow now?
On my phone 24/7 was normal back then. On my phone 24/7, working 24/7. If I had a thought at night about something to do with the business, I just got up and worked. I cannot, absolutely no way I can do that now. I'm also super strict with my phone and boundaries around my son, because I think it is a really big problem now, kids and phones. But if all kids are seeing is their parents on their phones, like, we're training them to be like that. So if you want to shift someone and their values, you need to be the leader. You need to show them the way. So I'm so super strict with my phone around Carlo. I'm always filming for the YouTube channel, but I'm not on it texting, ignoring him. That is not for me. That would be the biggest difference. Boundaries with my work, boundaries with my phone, boundaries with my clients, obviously, which has turned into, you know, my working hours. And when I can work, I only work when Carlo's at kindy, because I don't have to anymore do what I used to, I believe, have to do. I had to hustle hard because I wanted the success as fast as possible. I could have drawn it out over years and years and years, but I also think do what you can when you can. Like, I used to go to F45 7 days a week, and then I go on the treadmill for an hour after and walk and reply to DMs. And people used to say, this was before Carlo, and people used to say to me, why do you do that? Like, well, why? And I would say, because one day I won't be able to.
Yeah.
So why not do it now? I don't have an F45. That's another business you could start there. There's no F40. Actually, that's something else Dom and I always talk about. You know how Bali has all of these like amazing, incredible gyms, like wellness centers. You could definitely do that there. I always said, yeah, a day will come, not knowing it was going to be family related, that there will be things you won't be able to do. Whether it's you get older and your life changes, your priorities change, maybe your body like totally like shuts down on you. You know, there are things that you will not be able to do. It's all well and good to say you can do anything you want to do. No, as you get older, there are things you will not be able to do. Life will change, your location, whatever. There will just be changes in your life. So why not do all the things that you can do now while you can? And in my 20s to 30s, I could do anything. So I did. And I'm so glad that I did, because that hustle has now given me the option of choice. I could hustle that hard if I wanted to. I don't want to anymore, nor do I need to. But if I hadn't done it then, I wouldn't have the choices that I do now.
So if you're looking at your life now and what you've built and you're seeing what I'm doing, what piece of advice do you have for me?
Just go gung-ho, Sammy. I said it to you, I said it to Nick before we started recording, like, go hard now, because you are doing all the right things, and there will become a time in your life, should you choose to go down that path, when things will change and you want the choice to be able to work. I think if you have a choice of when you work, where you work, how you work, you are in the 1% club of the world. But it takes a lot of work to get to the point of having that choice. And right now, you got nothing but time. And a fit, young, healthy body, amazing supportive partner, like, go for it. Go for it all.
You know what's crazy is I was walking the other day just through my streets, and there was this guy, and I looked at him and I was like, I went to school with him. Like, I'm pretty sure that's Patrick. And I said, Patrick, is that you? Like, he had his headphones in, head down, walking down the street. I said, you know, what have you been up to? And he's like, oh, I went to uni. I did a bit of law, but then I didn't want to do the full thing. So he needed to start making money because he couldn't afford to keep going to uni full time because the cost of living's here. So he's now working at Fair Work. And he looked fucking miserable. And I just sat there and I just went, that could have been my life if I chose, when my whole life fell apart with uni, to go do uni and be like everyone else and go work some corporate job in the city. And I just had this moment where I realized I'm making 2 to 3 times the amount that that person doing a full-time job is. I can travel at any stage, and everyone says things about your life when they're looking from the outside in, like, I don't know how you do it. You know, you go down to Albany and you fly here and you do this and you do that. And I'm like, because I can. Yeah. And I think
that's the only answer though, because I can.
Yeah, because I want to.
But they want validation that whatever is stopping them is okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they ask, well, how do you do that? Why would you do that? Because I can and I want to. Oh, I don't always want to. I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock every morning and go to F45, but I knew the impact that then had on my mind, my body, how I felt, my work with my clients. I knew I became the best version of me when I did that. And I still get up at 5 and I work out at home every day. I do not want to get up at 5. I have a 4-year-old. I'd love to sleep in until he sleeps in. But I'm a better mum. I'm a better business owner. I can directly see the impact that those choices, again, it's a choice, have on my environment, my day, my work, my mothering. So you have to make hard choices if you want the good result. Not every choice is easy to make. And you have to be disciplined, right? You can, but it takes discipline to do it, because not everything you want to do.
Oh, everyone that says, I'm just going to start an online business and sell courses. The amount of time you have to spend to build an audience, to market, to build funnels, emails, it's not easy. And I think that's the biggest misconception most people have. Yes, starting an online business from a financial perspective is a lot easier, but to sustain it, to make it scalable, I look at most of the people that started business coaching when I did in different group coaching programs or containers or networks that I was involved in, and I'm one of the only ones standing, like, you know, and
they're gone.
It's that grit. You just like keep pushing through, and you almost have to go through 3 years of late nights, tough clients.
More. I'm going to say 5 years.
I had to go through 3 of like hell to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I can pick and choose who my clients are. I can turn people away. I can go, you know what? I don't think we're a good fit. Whereas back then, Sammy had to hustle hard, grind,
say yes to everything,
literally
take everything.
Extended payment plans. The worst mistake I ever made, I think was like, I can't remember what it was. I think it was like $75 a week over 35 weeks. It was the dumbest thing I ever did, but I just wanted to help people and I wanted to make it affordable for them. And, you know, the amount of cars that got cancelled or things that happened. And the other day I even had a client just like, oh, I tried to book in, but I couldn't reschedule or cancel. I said, yeah, because I value my time. I don't allow reschedules or cancellations 72 hours before. Just because your clients will do that to you and you see a booking come in at our call time doesn't mean that you ditch our booking. Like, that's why I do that. And it's just like, you have to tell them.
You have to tell them. Yeah, you have to protect your time because your time is valuable because you learnt the hard way to value 100%. It.
And I think especially in the beauty industry, a lot of women, they want to be respected and they want to be valued, but then part of it is that they either have that low self-worth, they've had all the cancellations, they let people walk over them, that when they see someone else implementing that, it triggers them.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, you can have this too.
Yeah.
You just have to have that boundary.
Yeah.
And believe that you're worthy of protecting your time for. And I think that's part of it. Like, if I could give one piece of advice to every single woman out there listening to this right now, it would be, it's going to feel uncomfortable if you've always put everyone else's needs above your own. But if you know that if you protect yourself, your time, and you have that self-respect and value, other people will follow that. But if you don't show it first, they'll walk all over you.
And it takes discipline to stick to boundaries.
Yes.
You can't just implement boundaries and then they're just there. Like, it's constant work to stick to them. That never goes away.
Definitely. That's a relearning one.
Yeah.
What do you have to relearn? The boundaries about phone, the boundaries around communication. Yeah, it's a huge one. Now, I don't want to talk to you about Instagram because I think Instagram is what you're always known for. And I think there's been a huge shift in how I view you now. When I looked at you 3 years ago, you were the Instagram expert. You were the social networking queen. And I think of you more as personal brand. I think of you more as a vlogger. I definitely see you stepping more into your mum identity, family life, like the whole travel thing, which I think is cool. And for the people out there listening, can you please explain the difference between a personal brand versus a business brand and why you believe more people are going all in on personal brands?
It's interesting because when would it have been now? Okay. I was super early days of Social Club and I attended a business event and personal brands were not a thing then. And it was probably one of the best, not direct pieces of advice because it wasn't speaking to me, it was speaking to everyone in the room. The guy who was hosting the event said, go out and purchase yourname.com. Actually, no, he said, who in the room? I think there was about maybe 300 of us in the room. Said, who owns yourname.com? And we all just looked around like, why would we do that? Why would you have yourname.com? Like, felt a little bit self-indulgent as well. Like, oh, well, who am I? I'm a nobody. Why would anyone care? And he said, we were about to go to a break and he said, go out and purchase yourname.com. And I was like, this seems strange, but sure, I've come to this event. If this is what he's telling me to do, I'm going to go and do it. And then we came back in the room after the break and he said, okay, who actually purchased their name.com? And 3 people, myself included, put their hands up. And isn't that interesting as well? Like everyone wants success, but you have someone successful telling you what to do. And in a room of hundreds, 3 people did it.
But some people don't even want to because they make up every excuse of why would I want to put my name out there? Oh, people don't want to see my face. They don't want to hear my story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I purchased BrookeVulinovich.com and again, personal branding wasn't a thing then. It just didn't really exist. And I had I just gotten married, so my name had changed anyway. My business at the time was called Villa Management, which was my previous business. And I was doing more speaking gigs and I would come off stage and people would hear me as Brooke Vulinovich and all the things I was doing. And they'd say, but what's Villa Management? And I was like, oh, yeah, there's quite a disconnect. And I had Social Club, as in I had the Social Club as an offer under my brand Villa Management that I was teaching social media workshops, consulting, doing all the things. And I thought, right, if I am going to grow this business, Villa Management is not going to work. The membership was the part of the business that was scaling the fastest. So I thought, right, let's rebrand and call it Social Club. The business was called Social Club Group, proprietary limited, the company. But at the same time, I felt like if I ever want to sell this, I need to learn how to detach from it because I'm so attached to it. But I saw potential ways in the future of being able to sell it no longer about me. But if you don't have a personal brand as well, then you're starting again from zero. A personal brand can grow with you, can go anywhere with you, like figuratively and literally. Whereas a company, a business, that isn't as, I don't want to say flexible because there is so much potential under a business, but a personal brand I just think it gives you the ultimate business freedom.
Well, people will grow with you if they're, I guess, attached or they're following along in your journey. Like they've seen you from when you were hosting events through to running the membership to now traveling. Like it doesn't matter what business brand you're running, they're following you for you.
Absolutely. And your personal brand is what makes you relatable, not the company. Your personal brand will outlive the company. The company could be a legacy, but your personal brand will forever be something that you own, can sell from, can take anywhere, can access your community 24/7. And I mean, I don't want to talk about Instagram, but I believe Instagram is the best place to do it because it's free. You've got access to the world. You can be creative. You can get your message out there like that. And I actually credit my personal brand to being able to reinvent myself so quickly after Social Club. And if I hadn't had the personal brand and I hadn't made that move years ago and I'd sold Social Club or I sold the member. It's kind of confusing. I sold the data.
Yeah.
I dissolved the brand.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd done all of that and there was no BrookeVulinovich.com, where am I now?
Well,
Who am
even
I?
if you sold, I know you dissolved that Instagram, but even if you sold that Instagram, everything that you built, you would have lost. You're all of a sudden, people know you, but they have nowhere to go find you. Like the smartest thing you ever did was build those two brands simultaneously because now you've got something to relaunch to pivot.
And now we know that, but back then we didn't. Back then it wasn't a strategic move. It was
Extra work.
It was a lot of extra work, yeah. And it was really almost doubling up. Like I said, I used to walk for an hour on the treadmill just to respond to DMs because there was just so much to do all the time. But it paid off in the long run. And again, I could back then.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that now.
I feel like my personal brand has evolved and grown through Sammy Kennedy. I was initially doing everything under. Then I built Beauty Industry Leaders because I wanted to pitch to bigger guests. And I wasn't at the stage where I could go, hey, come on to the Sammy Kennedy show. I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not Stephen Bartlett. I'm not Call Her Daddy yet. But I had to build, I guess, a sense of status or identity or community that brought people together. But then coming and doing this podcast studio and realizing this is another business right here, the Leaders Lounge, collaborating through my business accounts. I've got my personal account, my business account, I got Beauty Industry Leaders, and I got the Leaders Lounge. Building business has never been easier because you can leverage all the different audiences you've built. If you only have one, like I just look at accounts that are trying to start a business now. Like I obviously have only like 50 followers on the Leaders Lounge, but I have other accounts to leverage off. Trying to build something from zero, it is hard work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like it goes without saying, people trust people.
Yes.
People trust people that they know and like, and social media, Instagram specifically, and I mean, TikTok, YouTube, like you pick your platform. It's such an easy, free way to get people to know you. They won't all like you, but it's a no-brainer with all the other costs that come into running a business. It is a no-brainer way to get people to know you. And then once people know you, get them to like you and be able to sell whatever it is that you decide to do from there.
As a business owner or founder, how important on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think it is for people to be investing in a personal brand in 2026?
Non-negotiable. It's actually part of my keynote at International Women's Day. And up until this point, I have not been die on a hill for that. But I can only speak from my own experience and how would I have rebuilt myself living on the other side of the world in a tiny village with 900 people had I not had my personal brand? How would I have done that?
How many hours, if you're looking at, let's say a business owner, they work, I know that they sometimes are working 24/7 technically, but let's say they had 5 days in their week. How many days or hours would they need to be investing into strategy, content to put behind their personal brand?
Oh, interesting. Look, it's going to come down to the type of business. I think with a personal brand, you obviously have to allow people to see and hear you through content. And what business owners love to do is overcomplicate content creation. Right now, what is trending really, really nicely on social media is this FaceTime content. So talking to the phone like you're talking to a friend on FaceTime. Once you nail even if you don't have anything to sell yet, but like who are you as a brand? Create some content pillars. Like what do you care about? What do you want to talk about? What's interesting to you? Create your content pillars and then talk to your phone on those pillars. You could create, let's say, 10 reels in probably half an hour to an hour max. And then you've got them to roll out. If you wanted to post every day, you've got them to now roll out for the next 10 days. And really, that's only taken you about an hour of talking to camera. But you've got to know what your interests are. There's no set rules for what a personal brand should be. It's you. It's your brand. And sometimes it takes a little while to figure out like what you care about. But the awesome thing about social media too is there's an audience for everyone. 100%. If you care about some rare breed of pink frog, there will be other people out there in the world that love that rare breed of pink frog. So talk about it. And the more you talk about it, the more you attract these people and there becomes your personal brand. You know, I used to just talk about Instagram because that was my life and that was Social Club. But now as I have pivoted into business coaching and advisory, consulting, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, all my clients want to travel. All majority of my clients are mums. So these are topics that I talk about because it makes me relatable, and everything feeds into everything as well. Like, my business has allowed me to have the freedom and flexibility to travel. So it's also proof of the work that I do and the work that I can do with business owners who also want that. Not everyone wants that. And that's why I won't be the right business mentor for everyone. You got to find who's doing the thing that you want to be doing, who has a life that you want. And I think having a personal brand, it allows you to show the full ecosystem. And that's important if you want to work with someone and get the results that they have. You got to show it.
Well, that's why I worked with you. I've been through $150,000 invested into business coaches, group coaching, mentorship, training, everything. And you know what? Other than paying for you, most of the best advice I've got has actually come from those car meets or those watch people, not even paying for it, which is
your
wild.
Group chat.
Yeah, literally. My WhatsApp group chat that's got all the geopolitical, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Anyways, coming back to it, when I was trying to find the right person, because I didn't want to be in group. I wanted someone one-on-one. The biggest thing that I realized throughout that whole going almost bankrupt and building a business and having your whole life fall apart, you need to find someone that has values that align with yours.
Yeah.
And so the people that I was taking advice from prior, they didn't value family. Yeah. They didn't value being able to have integrity. I think it was all about making as much money as you can, and it doesn't matter what that costs or who you hurt. You just keep getting the numbers through. And I think that's where, if you're scared of showing your face, if you're scared of putting yourself out there, you might be the reason why someone actually decides, oh my gosh, you're my person. And when I built Beauty Industry Leaders, I always felt like an outcast, didn't feel like I fit into the beauty industry at all. But then I came to hosting an in-person dinner and then having the retreat. And all of a sudden, these people who, they didn't want to be involved in all the drama. They didn't want to be all for show, but they just wanted genuine connections. That's who came in. That's who listened to the podcast. That's who became a part of the community. So had I not put myself out there, had you not shown that side of your life, I don't think we would even have the clients or those connections that actually mean something.
No way. And I think there's so much validity in being the proof of what you are trying to share, or what you are not necessarily trying to sell, but like you said, be the proof of the values you say you have. And you have to share that and you have to showcase that. And that's why actually YouTube has been so good. I never had people ask me all the time, what's your strategy for YouTube? I don't have a strategy. I just started documenting the process of me figuring out the rebrand of really my life, because why not? It was fun. It was a creative outlet. But what it has then done is it's become the proof of, this is the life I built and this is the next level for me. And if you're trying to get to that next level, this is how you can do it. And that's going to attract the right person. Like you said, not everyone has the same values. And I think a lot of the time in the business coaching world as well, you're sold into programs that the people running them aren't doing the thing you want to do.
Or they've never owned a business outside of online or coaching, which I think is a huge thing. That if you are going to run a business, I'm not saying running an online business is easy or it's not creditable, but I think it definitely does help to have in-person brick and mortar. You've gone through those challenges.
Absolutely.
On top of also the online business.
Absolutely. There's just a lot of, I feel like the business coaching world is the new
MLM.
Kinda. It's the new glorified flashy car, nice house. If you want to barely work, become a business coach. And
I've never worked harder in my life, or almost to the point where you kind of feel embarrassed, or this is what I do, this is how I help, but don't put me in the same category as the bad ones,
It's getting a bad rap. Yeah. It's getting a bad rap.
But so does every industry.
You're absolutely right.
Hairdressers, beauty, dentists, doctors, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're always going to have really passionate, integrity-led leaders in that space. And then you're going to have people who do the bare minimum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is what it is. And I think if you can, stay laser focused on, again, your values, what's important to you, and genuinely wanting to help people, then you will always stay miles ahead.
So if someone's listening to this right now and they're going, okay, look, the fears are probably coming up. They're like, I've got imposter syndrome. People don't want to see my life. How much do I share? What do I do? And all of that. What piece of advice would you have to give them?
So I try and use, I don't know if 80-20 is the correct stat, but basically during the week, my content is about my client, because my entire purpose for using Instagram as a marketing and sales tool for my business is to help a specific client with a specific problem that's trying to get a specific result. So if all I do is talk about myself, okay, it might be inspiring to them, but how do they get there? So my weekday content is all about them, their problems, their desires. How can I help them with micro education? Just take that next little step. I can't give people everything, not without vlogging 24 hours a day, but just take that next little step. Then my weekend content is about me, because on the weekend, I'm not Brooke Vulinovich consulting. I'm mum, I'm wife, I'm friend. So my Saturday content is always mum related or wife related. And then Sunday content is always about the vlog. And that's how I find my little balance in still being able to showcase my life and who I am outside of the business. But somewhere that I think a lot of personal brands go wrong is they make it all about them, and then they can't figure out why they're not selling. And it's just a little switch in language. Like, you are your client, or you used to be your client. So instead of talking I, just reframe the content to be you. You are feeling this. You are experiencing this. And then it becomes a lesson, and then it becomes education rather than just inspiration. And that's such a big shift for so many personal brands, learning that. It's about the lessons you learn and how that education can help somebody else.
It's really valuable advice, because what I see, especially in carousels or stories where people are kind of using almost their personal brand as somewhere to rant, you might be trying to justify something, or you might be putting out your thoughts and opinions. But if there's no value add, whether it's a lesson or a strategy or a takeaway, it's not really adding value to your audience, and they're just going to look at that going like, is she okay? Like,
yeah. And also remember, misery loves company.
Yes.
So ranting is going to get you great engagement, and it's going to get you views, but they're not going to convert.
And I've seen some personal brands absolutely blow up because they're either tearing down another type of person or a authority or someone that they think, you know what, I'm going to be controversial. And it's like, it's fucking bullying. That's not a good personal brand.
No, it's not.
But a good personal brand is someone who's looking at their knowledge, their experiences, their skills, and thinking, how do I help that person who used to be me get to where I am? And sharing that journey.
Yeah.
That's why I love storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't need to come all at once as well. At the end of the day, social media is really a forever marketing channel. It's having a telephone for your business. It is not a campaign. So don't feel like you have to tell the whole story today in one post. And I think that's where people get overwhelmed, because they pick a piece of content and then they feel like it's not painting the whole picture. It's not designed to. People follow you. To follow something, the story has to keep going. So don't be scared. Don't be scared to give it all away, because you never will. And also don't be scared of one concept or one post not painting the whole picture. It doesn't need to.
I even look at origin stories, right? You can have your whole journey of events, but then the angle you come in at, it might be my uni degree got cancelled. It might be having to close the business down. Like you can hyper specifically focus on one area and retell that story in a different light. And I think that's another part of it. You might be trying to tell the whole story, but depending on what you're launching at what time, when you look at your personal brand, something that I've found really valuable is going, okay, if I'm launching my profitable pricing calculator, how do I look at when we're in $1.7 million debt to go to $2.1 million in revenue? When I'm looking at how to change careers, how can I speak to when I had to close down my business and then pivot into online? Like you don't just have the timeline of events from start to finish. You look at the different things that you've had to overcome or things that you pivoted through. One of the really helpful things I found with personal brand is going and creating like 4 columns. I can't remember all the things off the top of my head, but one of them is what are your beliefs, passions, and values? List them out. Then in another one, what are the things that trigger you? And then write that all down. Then write down what are frameworks, strategies, or tips that you've learned that could really help someone else. And then the last one is like, what are some really hard things that you've had to overcome? Throughout those 4, I guess, boxes of ideas, you have months worth of content that you can talk about.
So much content. And I think it is like, if you're not someone that has something to sell yet, and you're listening to this and thinking, all right, I'm going to take their advice. I'm going to start a personal brand, but what do I post? That's such a good framework to figure out what to talk about. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to, I'm going to say the thing that you would have heard 1,000 times, show up consistently.
Yes. So now that I've got my personal brand ideas, I'm starting to think about, okay, what can I put out there? If you were to just give the person listening to this an idea, like how can they actually monetize it? If they're putting all this effort into building the audience and putting themselves out there, what are ways that they can actually make money off this brand?
Absolutely. Well, look, you've got 2 roads to go down. You can go down product or you can go down service. Now, where you can monetize a product is there something that, like, let's look at Kylie Jenner. For example, the reason that she started her company is because I know she's a celebrity, but just hang in there, stick with me. She started to notice that she was doing her makeup on videos because that was something she enjoyed. She found it really fun. And anytime she was using a lip liner and a lip gloss or lipstick, if she did a video on it, the next day it would sell out. And she saw an opportunity to then create the Kylie lip kits, and look what grew from that. So you've got to start by creating the content and seeing what people respond to. And then, I'm sorry, but you have to be good at spotting opportunity. And what is something people ask you about all the time? What's something that naturally comes up after creating content consistently? That's where you could go down the product line easily. Now, where you may go down the service line, and this is what I did. So after Social Club, when I really had no idea, like honestly, hand on my heart, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. But I knew that I was confident at the time about what I knew about business growth. That was not always me. I would also, hand on my heart, tell people for a lot of my Social Club journey, I don't know anything about business. And the mistakes that I made along the way show I didn't know anything about business. I was really, really good at Instagram, but I had no idea how to grow a company. I had no idea how to do systems and processes and taxes and super and staff and teams and HR. I had no idea about all of that. And over 10 years, I learned it, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But I can now, hand on my heart, confidently say I'm very good at business. I really understand the Australian system as well. Now that I'm removed from it as well, it's like zooming out to see things more black and white. And so I put it out there. I don't know where I'm going with my life, but if you're where I was and you're trying to get to where I am and you feel like what I know could help you grow, like I'm offering consulting spots. And that's how this pivot kind of started. I think if you can teach what you know, whatever that may be, it's not going to give you the full ecosystem straight away, but bringing on working with clients or working with customers will clear the pathway for you then. If it's service-based and you're wanting to go online, whether, eventually, whether that's you're managing something for people or, you're doing in person or whatever it is as a service, you've got to start somewhere. And I think the easiest place to start is one-on-one so that you can figure out what you like and figure out what people want from you. And what I started to find after the first 6 months of coaching and consulting was patterns emerging from the people who were coming to me and what they wanted to see. And now it's very clear to me what I can help with. But if I just launched with a program, like I've now created Followers to Fortunes, which is my online academy. If I just launched with that straight away, I don't think it would have grown the way that it had because I didn't really know what people wanted from me.
I have an opinion, but I would be really interested to hear your perspective. Do you think it's better for someone to invest in going for something a bit more high ticket, as in that's your offering, rather than trying to build something up that's lower ticket in the early stages?
Depends on the person, really. If you're confident enough to sell high ticket and you can deliver the results that high ticket should give, go for it. Some people don't have that confidence.
It's quite interesting because I look at what it's taken me to almost get my business to a point where I'm out of that survival mode. And I needed the high ticket clients to bring in the cash flow to then be able to work on the low ticket thing. Whereas in the early days,
it was the
other way around.
Yeah.
And I was trying to sell so much volume of low ticket with so much effort and work, like barely getting any money in, just pretty much breaking even. But now that I'm in a place where I've got good cash flow, I've been able to invest in the podcast studio. I've been able to invest in building out something like profitable pricing. That's the next thing, building that out into its own training so someone can get that, watch that, implement that. But yeah, I find, especially in beauty now, when I'm talking to clients about, they want to step into education, a lot of them are going, I want to just do an online course. I'm like, you're probably going to have to do it like really cheap, or you're going to have a really great marketing strategy to show the value. But if you've never trained anyone before, how are you meant to have the social proof and the testimonials to sell that? And that's why I'm almost like, please go do this in person, get some feedback, get some social proof, get a video testimonial, watch their results over 3 to 6 months, leverage that as a case study, and then build out that lower ticket thing to scale. Because I don't know, I think in beauty especially, a lot of people have been convinced that they can create an ebook and they're going to make heaps of money. And I just don't think that that's as effective as it used to be, maybe during COVID.
Well, getting started, you are the proof, because otherwise, what are you selling? What transformation are you selling? What outcome are you selling? But question to you then, Sammy, I'm taking over the podcast. Could Sammy, who was working on that low ticket offer, have confidently charged what you're charging now for high ticket one-on-one consulting?
Definitely not. But at the same time, I think if I rejigged it and instead of doing what I did with group, if I got in a select amount of people for free and I did, like, let's say 5 people, I did it for free to get their genuine feedback and improve. Then I looked at, okay, well, what am I charging here? And I focused on having 5 really good clients with good results. Maybe I'm not charging $1,500 for 90 minutes. I'm charging, maybe it's $200. But I would have just not tried to scale something that was group first. I think I needed to actually figure out how to do one-on-one better before I took on a group, because the pressure I put on myself, hosting group coaching calls, masterclasses, holding space, I didn't even do that one-on-one first. So I did the complete opposite of what I think I should have done. But it's always nice.
A beautiful business strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just crazy. But then I look at, business models in general and all the things that I've learnt through the different types of businesses that I've had in family. I've done events, I've done the pageant, I've done so many different things. And now I feel like you need to have a one-to-many for it to be scalable.
Well, Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
But one-to-one is what will get you to the point where you have the cash flow to then focus on the scalable thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg.
It is so hard.
And then there's external circumstances, of life and what's going on behind the scenes and the world and your family. And look, there is no one path to grow a business.
No.
There is not. And you can have big dreams and you can have big goals and you can work hard and then the world can come and shit all over it. And you got to pick yourself back up and you got to keep going. And it's just, you got to do it to get there.
I think there's no right or wrong.
No.
There's just feedback loops.
There's feedback loops.
And the more feedback you get, the more you're like, okay, this is what I do want. This is what I don't want.
Yep. And there is good advice and there is bad advice and there is integral advice. And then there is a lot of people who want to take advantage of you the entire path as well. The whole having your own business is the biggest personal development course you will ever do in your life. And the person you become on the journey, I think, is the main driver of the strategy.
Absolutely. It's so funny when you look back at, I was looking at my Instagram the other day and I unfollowed 2,000 people.
Oh, good for you.
And
did you feel like clean and fresh?
Did, but it was crazy because every third account was a closed down business, especially in beauty.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're all closed down. There was one chick when I first started, well, just before I started coaching, I was actually doing photo shoots, so photography and content creation. And she's doing the exact same thing, same place. Like the photo I took of her space is still pinned there and it's almost 5 years old. And it just made me realize that some people are comfortable with staying where they are.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that person. And sometimes when you're always going on that journey of like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Sometimes you just got to take a moment and slow down and look at what you're achieving because I think, I don't want to say quantum leaped because I feel like that's just too woo-woo, but I've just gone into this like complete different life and, it's almost...
It's the momentum, though.
It scares me, though, what would have happened if I just stayed in the same place. Yeah. I think that's just a genuine fear. And then I guess the other side of that is it's hard to slow down and, have that balance. Like Nick last night, he's like, you need to get off your phone, and it's just like,
I agree. So for me, literally every single year, I would set one business goal and one personal goal. And the whole time I was running my business out of Perth, my personal goal was always to slow down. Always, because I was always doing everything. And I also do credit always doing everything to my business growing the way that it did. Because like we've talked about, there is a certain level of hustle you just have to have if you want to be the best, because people are always nipping at your feet. You cannot become complacent and be the best. It just doesn't work like that. But it was not until we moved to Croatia that I really felt like I could slow down because my environment had slowed down.
It forced you to.
Yeah, but with that also came the sacrifice of when you're not in that hustle energy and you're trying to build something, it's kind of hard. Like I feel like when I go to Bali, like I said at the start, when I go to Bali, I'm in that environment and there's momentum around me. The business is growing. The hustle is there and I can feel it within me. And with momentum comes results. I just don't have that. And the two cannot exist. Slowing down and hustle cannot exist. So I've come to realize that I'm so grateful for the business I now have that can let me work from anywhere, but Croatia cannot be the place I create from because that's my place to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You know what? Interviewing people on the podcast, it's been really eye-opening. I'm going to say this is more beauty specific. It's like 20 to almost 30 is you building the skills and you building the brand, and then you want to go big. They want the
and
big
building yourself
fitter,
as a person,
the big team. It's all for show, and it's like they want to go so big. But then I look at the people who have been in there for 20, 30 years. They reach that stage, especially after they've had kids, where they're like, I don't want that anymore. I want to be more present and I want to enjoy this. And I think it's really nice to know that whatever season of life you're in, if you choose to be in that season, like embrace it and be full with it, and then know that when you move into the next one, you're not going to have any regrets.
Oh, absolutely. And the lessons from the first season will drive the success of the second. Like learning how to build a company, learning how to build that big team, all the mistakes that I made along the way have now allowed me to rebuild with one virtual assistant to a business that revenue-wise, in terms of my profit, is very similar to what all of that was before because of what I now know.
Yeah.
I don't want that anymore. I wanted it for so long. That was all I wanted, and I did it, and I'm so proud of that, and that will forever be such a beautiful part of my business journey. It's not what I want now in my life because my success pillars and priorities have changed, like you said, since becoming a mother. It just changes. And that surprised me as well, how much time I would want to commit, or not commit, commit's the wrong word, how much I realized and valued presence with my child, and how I realized that for me is now the true pillar of success, how present I can be with him.
I just look at your life and I'm just kind of laughing because I'm going, I only hang out with my parents because we do business. Like, you know, our whole life, everything is business. And I guess that's also maybe a bit different because we've come from family business. We've been through so many different things. This podcast studio, I have my grandparents come in. I have my uncle come in. Like, it is all family business. Like, I'm building this family business empire, and it's just, I guess part of me does wish that I could spend time with my mum and dad outside of that. But then also we're just not in that position yet.
Yeah.
It'll come. But, you know, maybe in the next decade. We've already got 18 years on us. We'll see how we go.
It'll come. And then you'll look back on all of this and see that was everything that got me to this stage.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
And even now, like hiring our team and finding the right manager and all these different things, you know that's the end goal. But I think the hardest part was them not wanting to change, them thinking they had to do everything on their own. And then it always fall back to me because they didn't have the support there. And I'm like, there's only so much I can give and I want to build my own dream. But I also don't want to like cut off that and be like, I'm not here for you. It's just,
It's also a really challenging mindset when you have something that once you really wanted that made you so happy to admit, this doesn't make me happy anymore. Especially when you've built this big team and their life relies on you.
Oh, there's so much responsibility. Wages, super.
So much pressure.
People need you to employ them to pay their mortgage. If they don't have a job, then like where
their
are they
family
live?
Relies on you working.
100%.
And it's really hard to then say, I don't want to do this anymore, but where does that leave you? That took me years. From when I'm going to talk about this in my keynote at International Women's Day as well.
Do you have enough time in your keynote? Isn't it only like 30 minutes?
It's 20 minutes. Far out. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get there. I'll see. But from me deciding I was done to being at a point where I could emotionally hand over knowing I'd done the right thing. And I think where a lot of people go wrong in business is like trust your gut by all means, but you cannot make business decisions that are led by emotion once you're playing at a certain level.
Oh, yeah.
You just cannot.
But also the amount of, like, for example, if you're a sole trader, let's say, if you want to make a change, you can make that change. It's there. If you got a team of 5, you can make a change relatively easy. If you have a team of 40, if you have different structures, think about the government, like this person, that person, they're leading these different teams, departments. No wonder why change gets harder to make because there's so many different people that have to get on board with it essentially.
Absolutely. And also, you know, in my situation, my change could not begin without everyone knowing. So, but then you run the risk of, well, are they going to quit because they think I'm shutting things down or I'm moving on? Or is it going to scare them because then I can't run it without them, you know? And that was a really hard time.
I've never asked you this, but when you sold your company, Was that transition period really hard or was it easy? Did you go from making all this money and closing it down to like nothing coming in, or did you already have that plan in place with doing your VIP days and like, okay, I'm going to do this accelerator, then I'm going to have one-on-one? Was there a period where it was just like...
The deal with the sale meant that I had money coming in. So I knew I had a certain amount of time, essentially. But the best way I can explain it now, I wasn't even really comfortable to say this probably a year ago. I essentially became in a bit of a toxic relationship with my business and I started to resent it. And so from the day I didn't have to do it anymore, I'd emotionally checked out so long before that it was like, oh my God, I'm free. I don't have to think about this anymore. And my brain was so conditioned, you know, I'm a routines person, I'm a processes, I'm a systems person, as you have to be for a company to run at that level. It took me a long time. I remember, so all my previous jobs, I always worked on Saturday from when I very first had a job. And when I started my business, it was the first time that I didn't have to work on Saturday. But I would get up on a Saturday morning and feel this like,
I have to do it.
Oh my God, I don't have to go to work today. And it took me years to get over that. And with the business, it didn't take me as long, but it was like my brain was so conditioned, like on a Monday, we do this, this, and this. On a Tuesday, we do this, this, and this, that it was weird waking up on a Tuesday and being like, oh, I don't have to think about that today. And because the business was so reactive to social media, you know, every week it was a lesson on what is the latest new thing on Instagram, what are the trends, what are the changes. I had to be on top of all of that. Whereas now I don't need to. Like, I have my academy, but my academy, yes, it is how to sell on Instagram, but it's not based on trends. It's based on fundamentals that have never changed over my last 10 years of teaching you how to grow a business so you can sell on Instagram. And that's how I wanted to create it, for that reason. I didn't want to be reactive in my business anymore, because it's also really hard how you're reactive in your business, but then not reactive in your life.
And also to have a business that's based around trends
is hard.
As soon as the trend is over, you're having to create a new course, new content.
Just constant changes. Like, it was really hard to get ahead in Social Club because let's say we'd planned lessons a month out. Then a new feature would drop. The app would change. We'd have to scrap everything, start again. You know, lessons went out on a Monday morning and sometimes an update would come out on a Sunday and we'd have to be on it because that's how we stayed ahead. That's how we lived through every other social media membership that shut down.
Because you were always at the forefront.
Were always at the forefront. But that takes work. That takes being switched on 24/7. You cannot run a business like that with your freedom and working 1 hour a day. And you just can't. And if you try, you'll fail because it doesn't work like that. And I didn't want to work. There was a time I thrived on that. I loved that. But I just didn't want to be like that anymore, you know? And that was a big part of the reason that I came to realize this isn't for me anymore. But look who I sold it to. I sold it to a guy, a company in the US, early 20s, no kids, who I used to be.
He is huge too. It's
huge.
Definitely something that aligned with the direction he was heading and what he wanted.
It just became a no-brainer. And, you know, I'm not woo-woo or anything like that, but the whole fact that it all happened the way that it did and actually was so fast and easy was like, right, the universe wants, this is the right move for me. And this is how it was meant to play out.
So now that everything has played out, you're in this different phase where you're focusing more on one-on-one. You've got followers to Fortune's Academy. I know your biggest priority has been family time, but within that, you've moved into YouTube. And talking about personal brands and what does it look like building it out? Yes, you can do it on Instagram, but the one thing that strong personal brands are doing in 2026 is long-form content. What has been your experience so far sharing the vlogs? You've had 38 videos come out so far. What have you seen change with your connections with audience and your lifestyle and the money you're making? Does it impact it?
Oh, it does. Yeah. And the opportunities and things that have come up. I've done 3 TV I've had producers from 3 TV shows reach out because of YouTube. The first one we interviewed for, I had interviews with casting directors, producers. It didn't end up working out, but I'm hesitant to talk about it yet because it's something ongoing. The second one I'm fully on contract and can't talk about. And then the third one was Married at First Sight. And I was like, I'm happily married. Am I not communicating that through my content? But maybe that's their strategy. So,
oh my gosh, that's a Love Island strategy, not a math strategy, I feel.
I know, isn't that crazy? Anyway, that was quite funny. But it's just been fun.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun way for me to be able to, I suppose, still be me, but no longer in Perth, because you can see the behind the scenes of my life and everything I tell you. If I was to catch up with you in person, you can see on the YouTube channel. You get to see behind the scenes of the business, what my life actually looks like. People say, what do you do over there all the time? Well, this is what I do.
Do you get more people reaching out about your one-on-one consulting now that they've seen the behind the scenes through YouTube?
I think the consulting side wouldn't have grown if I hadn't had the YouTube, because the consulting side has the long-form content. Because I've never had a podcast, or I've never had a way to share long form content. And I never wanted a podcast because I was on so many podcasts, and it felt like if I'm starting a podcast to reach new people, why do all the work?
You can just leverage other people's audiences.
Exactly. It just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense to me. But it has allowed people that I suppose have been in my area that have been watching and have only gotten, what's the max you can share on Instagram? 3 minutes. If you can have people in your world for 40 minutes, an hour, and they're getting to hear me talk about business, and they're getting to, I vlogged the entire process of creating followers to Fortune's Academy. So they're getting to see my thought process. They're getting to literally watch me set up another company from scratch in a new country where I don't speak the language, as a mother, working limited hours a week. I'm not bullshitting you as to what can be achieved. I'm showing you what can be achieved. And YouTube, yes, Instagram can allow you to do that, but at 1%.
Do you know what? I don't think my business would have scaled as much as it has if I didn't share as much value and people knew that I actually knew what I was talking about.
On the podcast.
On Instagram, you've only got 15 to 30 seconds to capture someone's attention, that they half watch your reel or half read your carousel. And the relationship you make with someone who you're listening to in a podcast or the YouTube video, your brain can't tell the difference between, is this person actually talking to me in front of me, or are they just in my head? It's just, you kind of build a connection that you can't build in short form.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have been able to sell, $15,000, $20,000 coaching offers if you didn't have long form content? Or do you think it would have taken a lot more voice notes and trust and conversations?
I think it would have taken longer. Yeah. Because I've had clients not come through YouTube, but then I think it would have taken longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was also good for me to be in front of a camera. I think it's good for me to be in front of a camera to keep up my, not just confidence, but constantly thinking what would be interesting for my client to hear.
Yeah.
Because, again, living where we live now, I'm not really talking to anyone about business. I don't have those conversations, not in a bad way, just I don't have those conversations, and I'm not really, versus living in the city, you're always going to business events, networking events, even just going out for lunch with other people that run businesses. You're naturally having those conversations. I'm not having them with anyone.
How are your chickens going?
Yeah.
Did you hear about the wild boar that escaped?
I'm having different conversations. It's awesome. And this is what I wanted. I wanted that other life. But YouTube has allowed me to be able to talk to someone. No one's talking back.
That is literally what I say on the podcast.
Sounds like the saddest thing.
You're talking to the screen. You don't get the feedback unless, even podcasts, you can't leave a comment. YouTube, at least you can leave a comment.
You can leave a comment. Yeah. It allows me to showcase what I know in a really authentic way.
Imagine if you started like having the gaming headset on, you started doing Twitch and you're live streaming. This is my business thoughts for today.
I mean, and it's easy. It's always been easy for me to be able to talk to camera. And I think that began like from modeling. I was always comfortable in front of a camera. And then from teaching so many workshops, I was comfortable talking in front of people, and then bigger rooms. And then when I started doing the Channel 9 segment, I did that for almost 2 years. Live TV, and that segment was a segment on Channel 9 News where we got 3 trending topics of the day. We literally got our questions like a couple of hours before we went into the studio, and we had to talk on it. So it was like purely coincidental if it was to do with business or social media. But I think it allowed me to be able to showcase other thoughts in my brain.
Absolutely. And be able to perform under pressure.
Yeah.
Not having to script everything out and think of the perfect answer, being able to come up with your answers on the spot. I think that's a skill within itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that just came from practice. But also that was an opportunity that I, again, could not have done it at the intenseness I did. When I say intenseness, like I got to a point with that where I was picking up cancellations almost once a week. And I did that, for about 2 years. If I'd had Carlo, I wouldn't have been able to do that because I need to find a sitter and someone to look after him at last minute notice. So it's that whole thing, like, do it while you can.
Yeah.
The opportunity was there and I knew it was going to end one day, especially TV. You got people nipping at your toes the entire time. But I got on Channel 9 every single week pretty much for 2 years on the news, and I got to show another side of me and things that I was passionate about and valued, and give other opinions outside of just social. And I think that was really good for the brand as well.
Definitely. Brand awareness, TV, whether people watch it or not, it just adds that extra layer of credibility.
Yeah.
It's like when you go onto the website and you see all of the features, you know, whether that was a good article or bad, as long as they've seen you on there, they're like, oh, wow, this chick is legit.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how much does it actually cost you, or what do you need to invest to produce an episode? Do you do it all yourself, or do you have a VA that helps you out in the back end?
So I think something that I've always been quite good at in business is recognizing not necessarily things I'm not good at, but things that I really am not going to enjoy, and it is worth me investing straight up on just getting somebody else to do it because I'm going to drag my feet. It's going to end up costing me time in dragging my feet. And for example, bookkeeping. Never did my own bookkeeping from the very beginning. When I was making like $100 a week, I think the first thing I paid for was a bookkeeper.
Do you still have the same one?
Yeah. Well, my Australian company is being shut down. I know, it's like pretty much done now. But she has brought me that whole way. Yeah, I've been with her the whole time. I've moved accountants, but I've been with her the whole time. Pina.
Yeah, we've got her.
She's a bookkeeper now.
Yeah,
Pina. And so with the YouTube channel, straight away, I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy editing this. Not from the beginning. I obviously want to have the final edit say, but I am not going to enjoy, nor do I have the time, nor do I want to put hours and hours and hours and hours into editing. And so I just said to my assistant at the time, who was already working for me, I was like, so I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel. Do you know much about YouTube? And she's amazing.
So I can use CapCut. Will that work?
No, Caroline is so good. And she was like, nope, but I'm going to go learn.
Oh,
and this is what I love. Like, love that, right? So she has learned how to create YouTube episodes. And I started filming, I think 6 or 7 weeks before I put my first episode live, because I wanted to also give my chance to figure out like how I want to edit it. What do I want to focus on? How do we put it all together? And that just kind of took time because I didn't know. I've never done this before. And so she does she's like a part-time VA.
Yeah.
But she does all my admin. She built out the back end of the academy, anything to do with invoicing, contracts, all the techie stuff. I'm not a techie person.
Is she Australian?
She's Filipino.
Filipino. Oh, yeah.
So she does all of that, and then I do the final edit. And it also just depends on the amount of content.
How do you do the final edit? What are you editing on?
So what we used to do, so I film everything on my phone. I put it into a Google Drive for the episode, and then she puts it all together.
Yeah.
sends it back to me. I watch it. I loom any changes that I want to make, send it back to her. Sometimes that only happens once. Sometimes we go back and forward 5 times. If it's an hour-long episode, there's 5 hours at least of editing on my end because I got to re-watch it every time.
Yeah.
The more I do like a draft, I'm 2 times in the speed, but that's just how it is. But also the longer we've been doing it now, like you said.
You get that routine, that rhythm.
You get a routine and rhythm. She knows what I like. She knows things that I want removed, and that just takes time. But I love it. It's so fun. It's actually I feel about YouTube how I used to feel about Social Club.
I love that.
Which is cool. And it doesn't directly make me money in that, like, I'm not monetized. And it would be a very long time before I could, like, live off YouTube. And I don't even know if we'll get there. But right now, I get, like, excited for Mondays because I do my YouTube editing on a Monday. And I think in business as well, if something excites you, follow that lead if you can.
Yeah, I feel like YouTubing versus podcasting, like, they're both investments of your time. You're not going to make money off it from the get-go unless you are doing brand deals or something like that where you can make money. But
making money shouldn't also be the only strategy.
I feel like it's a very creative thing because the amount of time you spend – well, for me, it's doing market research. I got to research guests. I got to understand what they've been on. I don't want to ask them the same questions that everyone else has asked. And
nor does the guest want to be asked the same question.
Whereas, like, your vlogging is an investment of time. Like, you got to bring the camera out. Like, to an extent, are you camera ready? Yes or no? Sometimes you're not going to care. Other times you're like, oh, I want to put effort in. And so that passion you have has to almost take over the amount of money it's going to cost or time and effort before you start seeing a result. And that's why for anyone who is getting into this space, I wouldn't say I started really seeing much of an ROI until I was like a year into it consistently. You can't do it, you know, for 3 months and then leave it and then come back. Like, you building that community, that connection, the audience, it takes time. But it's like compound interest.
Yeah.
You know, you keep putting it in, you're not really seeing any growth. And then you look at anyone who's been doing it for 5 years, the opportunities, they're speaking, they're doing all the things. It's just like the best time to get started is now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's never going to get easier. It's never going to suddenly become more rewarding. So that was like, for me, I was like, well, I don't really know what this looks like. I don't know. There is no strategy, but I'm just going to start. I may create something and it may be a total flop, and I'm going to have to get on camera and say, well, I built this academy and nobody bought it. Yeah. But you know, again, I wasn't starting from zero. I had a personal brand. So the people that already follow me on my personal brand on Instagram that were kind of interested in what I'm doing next, well, they started watching the YouTube channel and then they've joined the academy, and it's all flowed from one to the other. Versus if I had no personal brand and I just started the YouTube channel and then I was trying to get clients, that would have been really hard.
Yeah, and very stressful and reactive.
Very stressful.
Like, you're almost like trying to overcompensate in your content to get people in.
Yeah. And it is also sort of like it's a creative outlet, absolutely. It's a way for, my parents aren't on social media, but my dad watches the vlog every week and loves it.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's like a way for me to send like family home movies home.
Yeah.
As well. It's just weird because it's on like an online platform for everyone to see, but that's just the easiest way to do it, you know? And I say everyone to see, like my 600 followers.
Hey, your 600 subscribers, like, you've built your Instagram to where it is one day.
Yeah, we'll get there. But I'm also that's not what it's about for me.
Yeah.
It's capturing, like, my only regret with the YouTube channel is I didn't start it when we first left Perth.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
Imagine where you'd be now.
Well,
the stories that you would have built, like the connections, the storytelling.
Yeah. I wasn't there, and it wouldn't be what it is because even, again, a lot of what happened with Social Club, no one knew. I think a lot of people were shocked at that announcement. But for me, that was not an overnight decision. It was literally almost 3 years in the making. How could I authentically be vlogging my life with this huge thing going on behind the scenes that I couldn't talk? I can't be like, hi guys, Tuesday today and I don't really want to do the work I have to do. And then I've got a meeting about selling the business. Like,
you would have felt like you were almost lying or leaving out really big parts.
Big parts.
Yeah.
Big parts. Whereas now, like, what you see is this is my life.
Yeah.
And it feels really nice and easy to be able to show up and just be me.
I think you almost need to be in a good place too, because if you're not in a good place, then you're just going to put out negative things and then people are going to feel that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And like I had obviously a really awful time behind the scenes with everything that was going on with my sister, but my business, the way that it was, nobody knew because nobody needed to. And I was still able to operate and work on the front end without anyone knowing what was going on in my personal life. And even when I told people that after I was ready to talk about it, people were shocked that that went on for 2 years behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that is where having a business that you can run under versus a personal brand is good, because you can hide things. And sometimes you have to.
And you don't want, I think the misconception about personal brand is you have to put everything online, but some things, if you want to keep them private, you can. It's weird. I feel like people who have listened to the podcast from the start, they feel like they really know me, but then there's so much that they just would have no idea about. It's just, it's a weird thing. It's like you're open, you are sharing everything. It's not like you're hiding anything intentionally, but there's just parts where you're like, it's nice to actually keep some things for yourself or for your loved ones.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then obviously kids is a really polarizing topic with online. Like, are you putting them online? Aren't you? And then you see people who maybe they did and then they take them offline and then they get hate for doing that.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky one. And I don't know. I think like, how do I share my life without having Carlo in it? Because Carlo is such a huge part of my life. Is it the wrong thing having him online? I don't know.
I think it's really cool to see your whole journey and like not only what you've achieved, but who you've become, and being able to also be in a position now where you can actually share that because yes, showing on YouTube, you're obviously putting some stuff in there. There's obviously always going to be other things going behind the scenes that you're like, do you want people to know that? You know, you've almost gone from this position of having this big brand, everyone looking up to you, hosting these events, to then going to the other side of the world and just being in your shell but still showing parts of it. If you had one piece of advice for someone who is feeling stuck in their business and they're not sure, you know, do I keep going? Do I leave it? What's my next step? And they're just feeling lost, what would you say to them?
Well, you really need to know where you want to be. Because if you have specific goals in your life for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, and you feel like being a business owner versus going out and getting a job is the thing that is going to get you there, then you just got to stick with it. If you think I can reach these goals, but I could just go get a job and not have the pressure of a business, then go get a job. There's nothing wrong with that either. Don't look at what's going on today as the be all and end all of how you reach those 5-10 year goals, because it's not. Like at the end of the day, if you look at each year in business, maybe it's 3 months of what you did right that got you to that next stage, because you did a lot wrong along the way, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like that's what can help you going. I don't want to say like, figure out your why and focus on your why, but it kind of is, what's the bigger picture? Why do you want this business? Is it the lifestyle? Is it the money? Figure out what is driving you. And if the business is the vehicle to get you there, then you got to stick with it. If it's not, do the other thing. Yeah.
I love it.
Is that good advice?
I think so. Like, it's obviously what you said to me, you know, maybe this is not where you want to be for the next 20 years, but this phase, this season is what you've got happening to get you to the next season. And I think that's valuable for anyone, because there's obviously days where you're just over it, you're doing the same thing. And I think the thing that got me through was going, okay, if I'm not happy doing this, how do I change either the clientele that I'm targeting or the way I operate my business so that I fall in love with it again rather than just abandoning the whole business and feeling like I have to start again.
Well, it comes back to what I said before, like trust your gut, but don't let emotions drive business decisions because it can often be, and I've seen it multiple times, just the killer of the momentum and then the ultimate demise of the brand.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, we all go through all emotions when it comes to our businesses, but don't let that be the decision maker in the business. Just know that we all feel it. You have good days, you have bad days. And at each level, you will have better good days and even worse bad days. It's just part of it. It's part of the journey.
So true. Thank you so much for your time, Brooke. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, having you in the new studio. If someone has really loved everything you've had to say or they want to come and learn Instagram marketing from you because you are the GOAT, where can they find you and how can they connect with you?
So online is brookevulinovich.com. All my academy information is on there. Instagram is Brooke Vulinovich. And if you want to follow my journey on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Brooke Abroad.
You might actually see us on the podcast in one of the episodes. Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll see you for next week's episode. Bye.
Bye.
Audience exclusive.